Good morning, everybody. From me and from Stevie, my beautiful bundle of joy, who is still dealing with some stomach issues. So we might actually have to finally take that trip to the vet today, as your boy was up 3:30 a.m. onward every hour on the hour. We thought that they had gotten a bit better as it seemed like it had over the past day and a half, right as I was about to take her to the vet. But that's no longer the case. Started back up last night, so we'll have to get that checked out. But we're here, and I'm looking to finish out October strong. Right, make sure that we continue to put one foot in front of the other and get 1% better each and every day. This week has definitely been a week of trials and tribulations and whatnot. If you've been keeping up with it, but we're not built to fold fast. We're built to last. So let's continue to push. I'll get some caffeine in me, and we'll rock and roll. But yeah, it's earnings season, and the biggest companies in the world report this week, each and every day after close, before open. We have huge behemoth companies that are reporting, and that will add more context to the picture and what we should expect out of 2025 as these companies reveal not only their earnings, but their guidance and what they expect over the course of the next few quarters. So that's really the main thing, is being patient this week, executing when the setups that we're waiting on happen, and rolling with it, right? Making sure that you take care of the little things, that you don't slack off, that you do what you need to do in order to stay on top of what's important, and you roll from there. But it's very easy, during kind of slower weeks to say, oh, I won't pay as much attention, or I won't be involved, or I won't check at the end of the day, or I won't check at the beginning of the day. And then that's very easy for opportunities to pass you by. So especially when things are slow, it's important to have patience, but it's also important to make sure that you are still sticking and tending to the little things. And that's what we focus on here during the pre-market prep session. So if you're new, welcome. I'm Adam Holland. Usually a little bit more well rested than I have been this week, kind of given the life that's been lifing. Um, but regardless, whether you're running on 5%, 50%, or 100%, we're looking to get 1% better. Keep the goals manageable, but keep them consistent. That's the key that I've found, is that as long as I'm doing something, a little bit of something each and every day, I will evolve into the person that I'm looking to become. So we're looking to keep that up. And it looks like we're getting a nap there in the background, and hopefully no whining to go out before this session is over. Um, so let's dive into our top news. Our top news: AI splurge looms large. Microsoft and Meta platforms sailed past analyst expectations with their quarterly earnings reports, but the big tech firms' guidance for more AI spending has investors worried over the results of these heavy investments in the short term. These concerns have dragged their shares nearly 4% lower before the bell on Thursday. So we see Microsoft and Meta, right, both big, contenders in this AI race, in this AI space. But we see that the spending has people a little bit shook, right, a little shooketh. And that's how earnings goes. As I've talked about this week, it really doesn't matter if you think a company will beat earnings and they do beat earnings. It doesn't matter if you think a company will lose at earnings and they do lose, right? What really matters is the guidance. What really matters are these little bits and pieces of information that really help drive home investor sentiment and how the stock moves after the announcement. And I doubt that anyone made money playing either side, being involved with Microsoft and Meta's earnings when it only moved 4%. So you not only needed to move in the direction that you wanted to move, which is a toss up, you also needed to move in a large enough magnitude for you to make money because of the implied volatility that is factored into those contracts up front, right? The cost. It's like if you have a lottery ticket that has a 1 in 100 chance of winning instead of a 1 in 3, I don't know, 300 million chance, right? Um, that ticket is probably more expensive. It's probably a $50,000 ticket, right? Because you bet $50,000 for the chance to win, what is it, 60 million? But you've got a 1 in 100 chance as opposed to a 1 in, 1 million or whatever. It's the same thing with earnings, right? It's known that because of earnings, stocks can make big moves. So what do they make? what do they do from the beginning? They make it more expensive for you to participate in the event that allows for that big move to happen. And that's why earnings is just so treacherous and so high risk. So AI demand versus capacity, Microsoft easily eclipsed estimates with its Q1 results as its Azure cloud segment crushed expectations. That's the biggest growth driver of like every tech company now that has a cloud business. It's the cloud business, right? Their cloud computing, sector, it's what's crushing it, and it's their growth driver. Same thing with Amazon. Quote, AI driven transformation is changing work, work artifacts, and workflow across every role, function, and business process, said CEO Satya Nadella. That is not, there hasn't been a truer statement said, right? And especially if you're, a part of AIM, AI Made Easy, if you were a member and took part in Kaizen, you learned all the different ways and are still being exposed to all the different ways that AI is dramatically impacting workflow processes, the way that things function, right? Um, Anthropic with their new computer work function that can literally do work for you essentially, right? You have to be honestly beside yourself. Um, you have to have like lost all concept of reasoning to not devote significant amounts of time to understanding this technology, leveraging this technology and utilizing it. Because it's literally the stuff of dreams, right? This is the stuff of science fiction that's happening right in front of us. And it allows us to do so much. What is an hour out of each weekday, or an hour out of your weekend, or 2 hours or 3 hours out of your weekend? What is a Saturday devoted to understanding and learning and adding something to your arsenal? Everyone talks about, yeah, it's tough out here, times are tough, this, that, and the third. It has never been easier for you to be a one-person army. It has never been easier for you to take the tools that are available right now and monetize them in some way, shape, or form. Never once in history. If you aren't, it's because you do not want to truly do it. And you're letting, it might be a limiting belief. It might be something that someone told you years ago, and that person had so much trauma blocking them up that they wanted the same for you and they thought they were protecting you, but all they were doing was stifling your growth, right? I don't care what it is that's stopping you, that's saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, but it's false. It's not the truth. You can literally do anything that you put your mind to. You don't have to be able to code. You don't have to be computer savvy. You don't have to be tech savvy, right? You have to have the will. You have to be consistent. You got to follow directions, and you've got to actually put one foot in front of the other and execute. That is the biggest thing. Execution, execution, execution. And we do that right within this community, and that's something that I'm a big proponent of. I always try to give as actionable advice as possible, and focus on kind of arenas that are most actionable. So if you're near me, you're in proximity to me, you're in proximity to someone that is constantly looking to leverage the best tools available in order to provide more value economically, right? Spiritually, socially, emotionally, everything in between. And that's the type of community that I want to continue to foster. But putting yourself around people like that is important, and that's helped me in life tremendously, right? Especially during times in which I didn't feel strong enough to stay with something or to get something done. Who you're around matters, who you spend time with matters, and where you put your attention matters. So let's continue to focus our attention toward what we got going on with markets here. I just, kind of felt led to speak on that. And also the, morning news has been brief enough where I have the time to speak on that as well. Um, Let's see, you're seeking alpha commentary, or actually, let me see. So, all about the money. Meta shares fell despite its Q3 earnings beat, which was tempered by traders' concerns that heavy technology spending would continue to pressure profits. Quote, we have had a good quarter driven by AI progress across our apps and business, said CEO Mark Zuckerberg. But Meta forecasts a significant acceleration in spending on AI related infrastructure in 2025. Zuckerberg acknowledged that this may not be what investors want to hear in the near term, but insisted that the opportunities here are really big. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. When you're in a space race, like we are with this AI arms race, essentially, it's all a spending game, right? Spend, spend, spend. How can you, create the most energy? How can you be the most energy efficient? It is literally just pouring money into AI. That is the name of the game now for all these big companies and hoping that something sticks. Um, Seeking alpha commentary, Microsoft is well positioned to capture market growth opportunity in cloud and AI thanks to their substantial investments. Seeking alpha analyst Hunter Wolf Research, who continues to expect double-digit revenue and earning growth in the near future. Investor Group leader Jonathan Weber believes Meta remains an attractive long-term investment, pointing to its rising revenue and cash flows, a fortress balance sheet, and a very reasonable valuation. So Microsoft and Meta both opening lower this morning has no real effect on us in our positions, and I'm happy that that's the case. Stock Spotlight, Super Microcomputer. Oh, they might be adding in a little portion to the newsletter here since news has been so light. Wednesday was a big day for Super Microcomputer, ticker SMCI, which plunged over a third in response to its auditor resigning. It added to the worries of alleged financial reporting and governance issues that have cast shadows on the popular AI stock. Since an all time high of $122.90 in mid March, shares are down 73%, finishing yesterday's session at about $33.07. Sheesh. Shares are also dropping again pre market off another 5% to $31.44. Sheesh. So, what's next for the company? Auditor resignations are rare, but can happen for a range of reasons. In the case of SMCI, Ernst& Young was the second auditor the company had in a span of 18 months. That's funny. Ernst& Young, I won like an entrepreneurship award from them back when we had AJ's Hawaiian Ices. That was the first big check whenever they give you the big little fake checks. That was the first big check I ever got, and I still believe I have that at home in like storage. But yeah, EY always have a special place in my heart. I'm sure they'll have a special place in SMCI's heart as well. Probably not, a place of appreciation, more one of malice. But Ernst& Young was the second auditor the company had in a span of 18 months. In order to get things back in order, Supermicro will likely need to take action in these areas or otherwise risk suffering the fate of public firms that have found themselves in similar situations. So SMCI just fighting being cooked, flambéed, sous vide, whatever you want to call it, based off of their possible, now it's looking like more so probable fraudulent financial reporting. What else is happening? Seeking off election form, recession fears at bay, gold and Bitcoin outlook, PCE report, Fed's preferred inflation gauge seen edging up. Samsung flags meaningful progress on AI chip supply deal. Simons to buy Altair for $10.6 billion. UK budget, Reeves boosts top capital gains tax rate to 24%. Florida inadvertently banned banks from selling securities. Exxon, ticker XOM, slams California AG lawsuit over plastics recycling. Hims and Hers, ticker HIMS, slumps as Ozempic no longer in short supply. Starbucks, ticker SBUX, plans to return to neighborhood coffee house vibe. Sure. I don't know how you do that when you're like all based off of like the premium chain vibe, unless they really start to like. Only way I could see is if they really start to take each regional location and do different menus and kind of stuff like that. It's the only way I see that shaking out. Grammys end 50-year stint with CBS will move to Disney. In today's markets, mixed bag. Looks like more red than green from a cursory overview, though. In Asia, Japan down 0.5%, Hong Kong down 0.3%, China up 0.4%, India down 0.7%. In London, we're down 0.8%, Paris down 0.9%, Frankfurt down 0.5%. The Dow we're down 0.5%, S&P down 0.7%, NASDAQ down a full point. Crude up 0.2%, gold down 0.3%, Bitcoin up 0.4%. Today's economic calendar, initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. And like I said previously, we've got a few different, things. 9:45 a.m. Chicago PMI. So these are little things that happen at 9:45. I think it's the only one really. They could cause some shorter term volatility in terms of price action. But that'll wrap it up for us here today on this beautiful day, right? That I'm still super grateful for and happy to be here. And I just thought it was important to keep the momentum going and stay on the horse. So let's make it a great day. Let's continue to level up this week. We've had, some nice long swing plays that have worked for us. And we've been patient and we've been smart. We've had some earnings plays that have knocked it out of the park for us. And not everything has been perfect. Not everything will be perfect. But the most important thing is that we're looking to take the best version of ourselves, which is on the inside, and try and express that to the outside and doing that through consistency, mindfulness, goal setting, right? And giving grace to ourselves. So let's have a great day. Let's finish this week strong. I'll see you guys in November tomorrow for our last pre-market prep session of the week. Have a good one.